Hi everyone, it's Ann at Martin House Flowers. Welcome back to my channel. Hope you all had a wonderful weekend. Here in Northern Illinois, Zone 5B, we were just putting around the garden. I did a few things, trying to look back at what I did that I videotaped. I finally planted those those pansies and violas from the containers, and they look pretty sad, but I planted them in this bed over here and gave them a bit of a haircut and just loosely planted them into this bed. And whether or not they come back in the spring, I'm not too worried about, but hopefully something comes back because the violas are supposed to be perennial. So I spent a lot of time in this back area, this north-facing garden, because this is where the mama bunny has been spending a lot of time basically chomping on my garden. As you saw in a previous video, she ate all of my sunflowers that were at the end of my arches there, over by my new roses. So I had to get myself some more chicken wire. But while I was sitting here admiring these beautiful Happy Jack clematis, just so full of buds, it's unbelievable, and just growing so healthily, I actually discovered that with all of this fencing that Greg had tirelessly put around my beds, that in this particular bed, a little baby bunny could manage to fit into those squares. So can you believe that? A large bunny can't fit into those squares, but the baby bunnies can. And as I was working in here, sure enough, I was surprised by a little baby bunny that just, I guess I scared it, and it jumped right out of this bed where my bachelor's buttons have overwintered. So today, on Sunday, I managed to have get my chicken wire and wrapped it almost completely around that one bed. I don't think I'll have to do all 6 of the beds, but who knows. And in this raised kitchen garden, we had actually found several baby bunnies. They had basically nested underneath the one of my lettuce plants. But in the meantime, we came in here and limbed up the tomato plants a little bit so that they would grow nice and tall and healthy. So Greg, I finally got him outdoors. It's been a week since his surgery, and he felt well enough to come out here and work on that Hoselink. I don't know if you recall, but on my birthday last October, I asked for a Hoselink, and that's what he was finally able to work on. Poor guy, there's just no rest for him, but he wasn't doing too much of heavy lifting as per the doctor's orders, but he did decide to work on putting in the post here on the back patio so that I can easily water things in my greenhouse, all of my containers on the patio, and my kitchen garden. So we tried to take it easy on Saturday. We actually had dinner, just the 2 of us on the patio. It was just the 2 of us, and I grilled a couple of turkey burgers and salmon burgers for us, so it was really nice. And it was quite an overcast day, so it was sunny in the morning and then became overcast, and there was always a nice breeze. So we took it nice and easy. And look at my sweet peas. Sweet peas, much like snapdragons, are cut and come again. So I decided to cut myself a little bouquet, and this way by next weekend, our graduation party for Greg's oldest, that we would have more blooms. And so I came over to both of the pots here and cut a few stems on both of them. I'm still loving these viola latas, and these are ruby violas. I'm definitely going to have to pick up these seeds again from Baker Creek. I'm absolutely in love with these, especially these ones right here. This antique rose color is just adorable. So there's my little bouquet of sweet peas that sat outside for just a little bit so you could see how vibrant the colors are. I mixed both the soft pinks and lavenders with the purple, reds, and magentas, and then some of the whites from the other container. I have 3 containers on the patio that I love to grow sweet peas in because they just seem to get the perfect amount of sun and part shade. They don't get full sun exposure on this patio. I thought they looked lovely next to these violas, but I did bring them in to sit beside our recliners, and as I take it easy this Sunday evening, I cannot tell you how incredible this fragrance is. It is the most beautiful, sweet smelling flowers that I can recall. I think similar to peonies, but just so fragrant. How's it coming?
Okay. A little slow.
Oh, you painted it.
Slightly.
So the width of this was a little bit too wide for this 4x4 post.
Mm-hmm. Right. So I just used 1x6 board that we've used on the garden beds.
So we just had this 1x6 piece of wood laying around left over from the garden beds. So I thought that was a great idea to just add a second layer. And painting it white on white, it won't really be that noticeable. Trying not to show you our mess in the garage.
Well,
As she knocks down things, I'll probably have to do a voiceover. Poor Greg.
yeah.
He keeps hoping that it'll finally be his turn to work on cleaning up the garage. There's another little project. Look what the wind did to our obelisk. Well, you got to work outside for a little bit, and then it rained. This is my second Hoselink, and I absolutely love it. Last year, I bought the Hoselink to water the front. I think I mentioned before that we hand water everything, so it's definitely a great investment to have a Hoselink. We have the 82-foot reel, which is enough length to take us from the side of the house, which is right at the porch, at the front porch, at the side, all the way to our mailbox. And also it reaches all the way to the back of the raised beds. And in fact, it also reaches to the very back bed on the north side of our property. So when you buy your Hoselink, it doesn't come with the post or the base or anything to do with that, because theoretically you can mount your Hoselink with the provided mounting bracket onto your home, or ideally on a post. I think I don't personally like mounting much directly on the home, especially if you're planning to move one day. You want to be able to take your Hoselink with you, and all that you leave behind is a post. And I just think it's more sturdy. So just outside of the garage, I decided to leave Greg to his work. I'm taking you along my potting bench here, seeing what's growing. I've got some chamomile. I spread some alyssum seeds in those empty clay pots. I'm collecting quite a few clay pots here. And I wanted to show you how our park bench that sits usually at the end of our cut flower bed, underneath, just on the other side of the arbor. I picked this color, which is a black HDPE, high density polyurethane material. And that black bench is actually a polywood. And it's also made from recycled plastic materials, and which is super heavy. So I like that I was able to, we were able to use that bench as secondary seating when we have more than 4 people. The set comes with 4. So I'm just taking you along here to look at my containers. I love this little herb garden that I have in this rectangular bin, and all of my seedlings here that I started from seed. And this is the Fairy Trail Fresco, which came in a small kind of 2-quart pot, and it's slowly growing. I'm really hoping that I will see some blooms on it this year, because I'm not absolutely certain it will overwinter. I will certainly attempt to overwinter it. Maybe I'll cover it, leave it on the patio, or carry it in. And our kitchen garden is filling in nicely. We've been able to harvest an entire head of lettuce that we had in our salad this past weekend. So it's so tasty when we have fresh lettuce from the garden. And I've actually direct sowed more lettuce seeds. So this is the little project I completed this morning. Of course, I ran out of chicken wire. I can never finish one project, it seems, without running out of material. So I ordered this roll of chicken wire, really to use at the end here where my new roses are, and where my sunflowers had been eaten by the bunnies. So I really had planned to encircle this, or just cover this entire area all around the stone and just adhere it to the arbor and the fence. But I needed the chicken wire sooner in that bed, so we'll just have to wait to get more chicken wire. And just taking a look again at all my containers here in the patio. I was really enjoying the backyard this weekend, and I'm really hoping that all of you had a nice relaxing weekend in your garden. I finally did get to enjoy some relaxation, some downtime. Of course, there's always weeding to do. I did a little bit of weeding, and the sun is setting so beautifully now. And in the greenhouse, I just have a few things growing. My coleus, that was an entire package of seeds, and I didn't really get much in the way of coleus this year, so I'm sort of disappointed. And this is one last dahlia that I will probably plant in front of the greenhouse. And look at my sunflower seeds. Thanks to those rabbits, I decided I need to sow more seeds. So I didn't even use a humidity dome. It's so warm in the greenhouse during the day. So I decided to go ahead and just, instead of direct sowing them in the ground so that the birds could eat all the seeds, I start them in the greenhouse. And when I do go to plant out all of these sunflowers, I will definitely cover or fence them with chicken wire, and I've learned my lesson. So the seedlings are doing really well. Let's see how long. This has been about, I would say, 3 days that these have been sitting, been sown in these containers. So we'll see how long it takes for these to grow till they're about 6 inches tall, which is how tall they were when I planted the last batch. So I've got time before getting more chicken wire. And I also decided to sow the last bit of seeds in my amaranth package. And these are some, I think, crazy daisies that I'm going to plant in containers because I've really run out of room in my cut flower beds. The next day, after Greg had finished painting and letting it dry, the rebar that he had installed, drilled into our concrete patio on Saturday, was an excellent way to add sturdiness to the post. So, or Monday at lunchtime, he was able to set the post in. It didn't slide on super easily. He had to get the mallet and kind of hammer it in. And fear of splitting the wood, we tried a couple things. First, he tried hammering it in, and it went in kind of slowly, but as I mentioned, he was worried about splitting the post. So he took a piece of wood and put it on top. I tried holding it for him, hurt my hands doing that. So he ended up screwing the piece of wood on top temporarily so that he could hammer into the wood. And of course, Eddie was sitting inside wanting to get involved in all of the activity on the patio. Then the cap went on the post and it looked so finished. I like that little detail that Greg had put on there. Eddie thought it looked good too. I'm so excited that I won't have to use that big rubber hose any longer. It's a good hose, but it was just always such a nuisance having to wind it up at the end of watering my plants. How does it stay on there?
I'm gonna put some brad nails in it.
Oh, okay.
And finish nails.
Yeah, we're just watching Patty. Hi. Yeah. We're out here in this windy day. They poured the foundation for the house behind us. Sadly, that mountain is going to be here for a few weeks yet. And within a few minutes, we had the Hoselink attached to the post. It just slides into the hole onto the bracket, and at the end of the attachment hose is the female end, and that just gets attached to the faucet. I really love how that post looks. Greg did such a nice job adding that cap on it, and he thought about painting it gray. We had some gray paint, but I suggested we do it in white, and I'm really glad that we went with white because it adds to the trim. It coordinates with the trim of the house and, of course, the white on the greenhouse. So loving that finished look on the post. So first the female nozzle gets screwed onto the faucet, and then the attachment hose with the male end just sort of gets attached to the bottom of the female piece. and it's attached. I was excited about getting the spray nozzle attached. It took me a few tries to turn everything nice and tightly to avoid any leaks. It's just a matter of tightening all of the pieces, getting the handle turned, attaching it to the hose. Just took a few tries to turn everything nice and tightly and keep securing it until there were no longer any leaks.